say about a person like Murilo? Before doing any research on him, I knew that he was really great at passing and well regarded as the coach of the Unity team, based in New York City. However, the incident at the last ADCC in 2022 inspired me to take him on as the next subject in my video series. Murilo first got his start at Black Belt back in 2005. And I was surprised at how arriving onto the scene, he was already rivaling guys like André Galvao, who had been considered a star of the sport, even as a brown belt, and he would go on to compete against some of the biggest names, Marcelo Garcia, BJJ, Murilo Estima, and Homoloba Hall. But through it all, it wasn't only his technique that stood out to me. I mean, of course he's highly technical, however, it was his grit that really set him apart. The sheer longevity of his career, competing all the way up until last year in 2023, always fighting until the last second of the match. Never giving up, even when all seemed lost. Capitalizing on every opportunity that presented itself. Even to the point of being too competitive. Buiu, boa. And even blatantly bending the rules when it came down to winning.
Converting, snagging a leg, trying to get on top, jump blank. Almost had the position to get
the heel hook attempt after that.
He's got the heel hook.
And to me, there's no surprise that the incident at ADCC went down the way it did. I'm not saying that I knew he would pull out a knife, which I've heard from a few eyewitnesses, but when you have a win at any cost mindset and put them in a situation like that, bad things tend to happen. So firstly, I want to ask you as the audience to suspend your thoughts on Murilo's actions as we try to separate the man from his technique and his accomplishments on the mat. Because if I could only do videos on the morally upright characters in Jiu-Jitsu, I would have to shut down my YouTube channel. So let's dive in and see what exactly makes Murilo, Murilo. If you do any research on Murilo, you'll find a ton of videos covering his passing style, and in that regard, this video won't be too different. But instead of focusing on many techniques, let's kick this video off by talking about a major concept that connects most of Murilo's passes together. First, check out this clip and see if you can figure it out for yourself. Okay, what about now? Are you starting to see a pattern yet? One of the main concepts that can be seen in just about all of Murilo's passes is his use of the tripod. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought it was very exaggerated, but therein lies the power of this technique. By keeping his hips up and head down, pause, Murilo is able to maximize his application of forward pressure, which often leaves guard players unable to defend. And he uses the tripod everywhere. When it comes to passing, Murilo's number one weapon is without a doubt his over-under to the left side.
Whatever pass you're doing, if you're switching, you'll hit it in the middle.
And just for reference, I will always use left and right in relation to the guard player's body. going over one leg and under the other. This technique has helped Murilo pass on some of the best guard players in the world, and it's something that anyone that faces off against Murilo will have to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, it looks like he wants to do a fake guard pull to a single. There's that brutal over-under pass from Murilo Santana.
As he's very good at getting into this position right from the start of the match. Watch these matches right here and see if you could avoid Murilo's over-under.
Yep, just getting above the knee line now. There he comes. See, it's just, he is such a grinder and he's got so much experience. Now he's above the knee line up to the hips now.
Another great variation of the over-under that I really like, and one that Murilo uses a lot, is what I like to call the shin trap over-under, where you literally trap the opponent's shin to their butt, like this. When the guy tries to lasso this leg over, exactly, Murilo will trap. So staying on that hip grip, I pin that leg, his leg to his hamstring. All right, that kind of takes the leg out of the game. And then same movement. I get into my tripod, and man, it's so powerful, especially when I get to the side. Once I get to the side, he can't go to shrimp out anymore. That makes it a real nightmare to deal with. And following the over-under, Murilo's number 2 attack has to be what I call the double overpass, which fits in seamlessly with his over-under, especially when his opponents try to clear his underarm or try to lock their legs together. You know, this is almost like a wall, guys. His leg, you know, he can still fight. But if he goes to lock his leg down, he gives me that space, and that's where Murilo wants to be. I mean, it just works so well. And it's something that I would like to incorporate into my own guard passing. Once passed or on top of half guard, Murilo's game plan is fairly simple, and I must say, very consistent. Murilo often uses a concept from this position that I want you guys to see if you can spot. Hope you guessed right, because after Murilo has controlled his opponent's hips, his next step is to start climbing up their body. No diddy.
If you don't know Murilo well, you're in for a treat when you first get in there. He's creeping up. Let's see if he uses this near underhook. And he's driving forward.
And soon afterward, Murilo will go for mount to the arm triangle and even chair sitting to the back. Oh, and sometimes the mounted triangle on more than one occasion. As well as a couple of arm bars. For a really complete passing game that even my friends are currently working on. Shout out to Vivek. And we can't forget about the folding pass. That comes in pretty handy as well. So that's the first part of this video, but what I found out during my research might just surprise you. And that's just how overlooked Murilo's bottom game has been. Because if you only went by the content creators here on YouTube, Murilo only has a top game, but in fact, he's a very well-rounded grappler. And the move that has helped him become so dominant has to be his single leg guard. Gi or no gi, this move has supported Murilo in all of his matches. So let's first take a look at how he sets it up.
But Murilo in good position, really. Shin to shin.
Unlike a traditional single leg guard whereby you grab the leg and maybe sometimes the lapel, which we see with grapplers like Bernardo and Leo Sugiro.
Sajiro ducking his head in between the legs. That little peekaboo, here he comes. There it is.
Murilo plays a variation of this technique using his instep and the same side arm for a very versatile move that can handle just about every type of opponent. and situation. From the single leg guard, Murilo can wrestle up with the single or double leg, like in these matches. Or even transition to the single leg X, which he began using as far back as 2009. And from the single leg X guard, he has a ton of sweeps and transitions, like this one to the modified X guard. And even the ability to threaten from the backside position. By 2011, Murilo was already doing the outside heel hook from the single leg X guard, years before guys like Eddie Cummings and the Danaher guys had even entered the professional grappling scene, making Murilo a true trendsetter in my eyes. But what would happen if he couldn't get to his single leg X? No problem, because Murilo has a great solution. Watch these clips and see if you can follow along.
It's a good position here for sweeping. He's going to come on top,
nice.
almost on the back.
Keeping his instep in, Murilo is able to force the deep half guard, which allows him to attack the back with a crab ride at any time. But what if the opponent doesn't engage Murilo's single leg guard and instead tries to backstep out of it? Murilo has an answer for that as well. Check out these matches and see if you can put 2 and 2 together. Maintaining his instep hook, Murilo can enter into the reverse half guard. My partner steps back, reverse half guard. I pull him down, and I try to keep a little bit of space. But look, I keep my hook in, hook exchange. And once I do the hook exchange, I can start pushing into him. Back exposure. Put my hooks in. Attacking the back with the crab ride on the other side, even against high-level competitors like Marcelo Garcia. And as if that whole single leg guard system wasn't enough, Murilo has one more weapon at his disposal. Using a classical close guard approach, Murilo is able to slow down guard passers and submit them at will with fundamental techniques, like this cross collar choke.
I think this is a good position for Murilo right here. Close guard. He's gonna try to push that knee through.
With just over a minute remaining, he's up one advantage. It's still 0-0 on the board.
Cross collar grip, so looks like he's looking to pull that far arm into a Bravo situation from a guard.
30 seconds remaining.
Yeah.
He needs to get busy here, but
The basic triangle. And the armbar.
oh, arm lock there from Murilo Santana. Straight arm lock, there it is.
That is on.
Oh, from nowhere.
So those are most of the upsides of Murilo's game. But as with everything, there's always a flip side. Starting with his top game, if I had to point out a major flaw in Murilo's style of passing, it's that it can take a while for Murilo to get the guard pass. Unlike dynamic guard passing, you know, those quick movements like the Toriando pass and the leg drag, Murilo's use of pressure lends itself better to longer black belt adult matches, which are often 10 minutes long. But during a crunch, this style simply uses too much time. So it's important that you use it strategically. This might also be unique to Murilo, but also the long boy body type. You know, those tall, lanky, and flexible guys like Homoloba Hall and Braulio Estima, and most recently, Felipe Andrew, give Murilo fits, as it's often very hard for him to close the distance and exert pressure on them while dealing with their frames and long legs. Murilo Santana is one of the most influential grapplers in the last few decades, and that's not even touching on his work as the head instructor of Unity, with athletes like the Meow Bros, Leandro Lowe, Mayasa, Levi Jones, and a whole host of other athletes that have gone on to do big things in competitions at every level, personally showing all of us and the future generations the effectiveness of pressure passing in a world full of knee cuts and berimbolos. And while I won't try to excuse or explain away any of his past behavior, I can't deny that Murilo has changed BJJ forever.